With it being night 26 on Survivor's Second Chances, there are only 6 people remaining, hungry for the title of sole survivor. Nicola and Ryan chat about how huge it is that they reached this stage of the game as the iconic Kurtjar trio. Ryan says they are such a strong alliance. They knew to never turn on each other in this merge, and look at them now. They make up half of this tribe, and they might still survive this next vote. Nicola comments that she would be really hurt if him or Telly flip on her, but Ryan says they have no reason to flip. She shouldn't worry about it. She says she's not worried and she's just saying that to make it clear that she too doesn't have any intentions on flipping. Ryan tells Nicola that at this point, the 3 of them should sit together, 3 meaning them 2 and Telly, and then decide on who their next target will be. Nicola says they don't have to sit together. In fact, they shouldn't because people might catch on to their trio. Ryan is good with this then and says he'll just have chats with Telly to see who she thinks should go next. Meanwhile, Kiana and Clever talk about how fun it is to reach top 6 after so many vote-offs. They outlasted 16 people so far, and they have a few more rounds to go. Clever tells Kiana they really want to reach top 3 with her, and Kiana says the same back. Clever thinks it might be time to make the move on Ryan and Telly. They are the obvious front-runners right now. Kiana agrees and asks Clever who they think should go first, and Clever says they don't have a preference. It's better to see what votes they have, meaning they need to talk with Allison and Nicola to see what they think. If they have a preference, they should go with it so they feel like they are making this move. Kiana likes this idea and says they'll go with that strategy then. Telly and Ryan chat, feeling happy that they made final 6 with Nicola. Telly admits she was nervous all this time about Nicola flipping on them again, but she never did. Ryan says they really should just go to final 3 with Nicola so they can claim she wasn't the top dog, and was only their loyal soldier. Telly agrees and tells Ryan she has no intentions on flipping against either of them. Right now, her eyes are on Kiana, and maybe even Allison. Ryan isn't worried about Allison though, claiming that she really trusts him. However, Kiana is a good next target because she already flipped on them before. Plus, she's close to Clever, so those 2 might brew up a plan to vote them out. All the while, Kiana and Clever see Nicola joining their chat, so they invite her for some marshmallow roasting. Nicola asks them how they feel right now in the game. Kiana admits there are not many options to go with now. It's getting down to the wire. Nicola agrees and says it's getting really difficult to decide who the next move should be. Clever tells Nicola that the 2 of them think it might be time to actually take a shot at the king and queen of the game. Nicola knows who they are referring to and says she knows they are probably the biggest threats to win now. Clever says they surely are. It's not a question and it's not a probably. It's a definite fact. Every single juror at the moment expects them to win, so the other 4 need to team up against them and take them out these next 2 votes. Nicola claims she's going to work with that plan. Clever is glad and says there isn't an exact name yet. They'll let her, Kiana, or Allison decide since they don't care which of the 2 go first. Nicola doesn't say a name and neither does Kiana, so Clever says they can chat more tomorrow once they find out who wins immunity. Conveniently, Allison joins in and Clever tells her that they actually wanted to talk with her, so it's perfect that they can all chat together. Allison listens, and Clever tells her that they need to take a shot at the king and queen, also known as Ryan and Telly. It's just a matter of who should go first. Allison says she'll work with them on this vote, but she doesn't have a preference. She sees both of them as good players. Clever then says that perhaps they should split the vote in that case. 2 votes Ryan, and 2 votes Telly. Then, they can re-vote on one of them. All of them seem good with that, so they end the game conversation for now. It's day 27, and it's time for the next immunity challenge. Justin takes back the necklace from Telly and goes on to explain the immunity challenge rules. In this, everyone must first stitch up a circular design based on their reference image. Once complete, they must then move on to finish a jigsaw puzzle. The first person to finish their jigsaw will win immunity, safe from the vote. The rest will be vulnerable at tonight's tribal, and with the numbers dwindling, anything is possible with these votes. Everyone gets into position, and Justin shouts go, so they all grab the required items to stitch up their design. They all begin crafting, and many minutes pass of continuous stitching. Clever finishes first, followed by Nicola. Allison also finishes not too long after them, and so do Telly and then Kiana. Everyone finishes at roughly the same time and head for their jigsaw puzzle. They all set down their boxes and sit down to start the puzzle. Ryan is the last to finish his design, so he makes his way to the puzzle station now. At this point, everyone except Ryan has started their puzzle, but Ryan isn't missing out on too much. In fact, Ryan makes a lot more progress than most people, on a roll with his puzzle. Telly is tied with Ryan at the moment, putting the pieces together pretty quickly. Ryan pauses though, which allows Allison to catch up. Ryan fills in his puzzle more, still leading in this challenge after just finishing last in the first part. All the while, Kiana, Clever, and Nicola are struggling, and Kiana realizes she has no chance of winning. Allison and Ryan currently have the lead, trying to fit in different pieces. Telly is right behind, finishing up the border of her puzzle. Ryan is very confused but keeps a smile on his face, still determined to win. Kiana suddenly catches up as she figures out this puzzle, but Ryan gets closer to fully completing his. Allison hits her own head, trying to figure out these last few pieces. She then puts in more pieces, and so does Ryan. At this point, they are neck and neck, and Kiana still tries her best to put in more pieces. Ryan has 2 more to go and tries fitting in the remaining pieces, but keeps picking the decoy puzzle pieces that don't fit anywhere. Allison is then down to 2 pieces as well and picks out her last few pieces. She puts them in successfully, swiping the win from Ryan and winning herself her second individual immunity. She gasps and freaks out as she can't believe she took that win from Ryan. Ryan congratulates her and sighs from losing. Justin later puts the necklace on Allison, claiming she is reaching Final 5. Everyone else has a chance of becoming the 6th member of the jury. He sends them all back to camp, and they follow through. Back at camp, Allison goes to Ryan and he congratulates her on the immunity win. She thanks him and tells him he did really well himself. She then tells him that she has some information that she wants to share with him. Ryan listens to her and she warns him that Clever is trying to bring together everyone except him and Telly to vote one of the 2 out. So she warns him that Clever is basically rallying the numbers against him and Telly. However, she wants no part in that, which is why she told him now. Ryan smirks and thanks her for filling him in. He thinks it might be time to take them out in that case. Allison agrees and says she would rather just vote Clever out because they are sneakier than someone like Kiana or Nicola. Nicola later joins them, asking them if they heard about Clever's plan, and Ryan says that Allison just filled him in. Nicola is glad and says she was about to tell him the same thing. Ryan says they agreed to vote Clever tonight, probably unanimously. Of course, Kiana is the only one left out of it, but that's a must because she's way too close to them. Nicola is fine with this plan but warns that they actually found the merge idol way back. Allison had no clue about this and is shocked to hear this, but it motivates her even more to vote them out with an idol in their pocket. Ryan thinks there's no shot Clever will use it since they assume him or Telly will go home tonight, and then Clever can just use the idol at Final 5. Allison thinks that's exactly what will go down, so she's locked in for this Clever plan. Nicola is also locked in and says she's weirdly not that worried that they are not splitting the vote. Kiana later chats with Nicola during a chess game, asking her if they are still doing the split vote plan against Ryan and Telly. Nicola tells Kiana straight up that it's not gonna work. She tells Kiana that she needs to go to Telly or Ryan right now and spill that Clever is trying to get them out. Allison has already flipped on this plan, so it's not happening. Kiana is upset now because they had a clear shot. She then says that Clever has an idol, so perhaps that can save them, but Nicola says it's way too risky. Kiana doesn't get it though because they can survive as a 3, but Nicola is just worried that once they reach Final 5, Clever might do something flashy with their idol. It puts their own games at risk. Kiana says they would just vote either Allison or one of Telly or Ryan at 5, but Nicola says it's probably not as simple as that. If Clever really wants to boost their own game, they might be tempted to vote out their closest ally, which is her right now. Kiana gulps and asks Nicola if she should just tell Telly then about Clever's plan, and Nicola says she should. Kiana breathes out and says she'll do it then if it saves her own game moving forward. Meanwhile, Clever confirms with Allison that this split is still happening. Allison pretends like she's on board still and says Nicola is for sure on board too. She just doesn't know who they will re-vote on, so Clever says they would really like to send Telly out because she has already won an immunity before. Ryan hasn't won anything, so their odds of beating Ryan are much higher. Allison then asks who will vote for who, and Clever says it'll just be the 2 of them on Ryan, and then Kiana and Nicola will do Telly. Then, Telly gets 3 votes in the re-vote. Allison confirms this plan works with her, so they split off. Later on in the day, Telly sits with Kiana to ask her about her thoughts for tonight's vote. Kiana breathes out, acting very on edge. She dramatically tells Telly that she is giving her very important information and doesn't want it to leak to anyone else, at least not for it to be revealed that this information is coming out of her own mouth. Telly says of course, so Kiana tells her that she's about to rat out Clever. Clever is trying to take her and Ryan out back to back, but she doesn't feel good about it, especially knowing Clever has the hidden immunity idol. She's willing to play a big role in tonight's vote if she would like to blindside Clever. Telly acts like she's really shocked by this and says she needs a minute to process it. She thought they would be strong together to take out Allison or Nicola. Kiana sighs and says she feels bad for Clever on a personal level, but on a game level, she would rather move on in this game with her and Ryan. Telly appreciates her for the warning and says they can do Clever tonight, as long as she can convince Clever not to use their idol, or at least comfort them to the point where they won't use it. Kiana confirms that's her plan, so Telly thanks her for helping out with this move to protect her and Ryan, but mostly her. With night slowly approaching, Kiana, Telly, and Ryan have a fake chat with Clever, essentially agreeing Nicola is the vote tonight. The 4 of them can easily get through this vote and then take out Allison at Final 5. Clever says they are into this plan and so does Kiana. They shake on this move and hang out the rest of the evening. Night 27 is here, and it's time for Tribal Council. Justin welcomes everyone and says hello to the jury with their newest juror being B. Marie. Justin starts up the discussion, asking Allison how she feels wearing the necklace tonight, after just barely winning over Ryan. Allison is grateful and says Ryan did an amazing job and almost got his first win. At this stage in the game, everyone is a possible option to go home, so wearing an immunity necklace or even having an idol is really important. Clever agrees and mentions how big threats are starting to stand out more and more. People are beginning to see what potential jury threats there are and who is easiest to beat. Justin asks Telly if she's thinking about that too regarding each vote moving forward, and Telly says it's partially what she's considering. She also needs to think about loyalty. It's important to take people you trust, and that's why she's not breaking from her people. Justin asks Nicola if it's even possible to trust anyone at Final 6, and Nicola says it is indeed possible. It's been 27 days out here which gave each of them so much time to bond with one another. Of course, the game aspect can come and play with each vote, meaning betrayals are possible. However, for tonight, she's focusing on loyalty, just like Telly. Justin asks Kiana if she's also focusing on loyalty tonight, and she responds with no. She is instead focusing on the strategic side of things. In fact, most people here are probably thinking that way. Justin asks Telly if that worries her that someone like Kiana is claiming that many people aren't focusing on loyalty over strategy, but Telly says that sometimes, making a strategic move involves remaining loyal to the strong relationships you have built. Clever adds that there's a point where the loyalty has to go out the window because if you expect to win this game, you need to take out the biggest jury threats, even if they are your closest friend or ally. Justin then wraps up the discussion and says it's time to vote.
I'll tally the votes. If anyone has a hidden immunity idol and they want to play it, now would be the time to do so. Alright, I'll read the votes. First vote. Clever. Ryan. 1 vote Clever, 1 vote Ryan. Clever. 2 votes Clever. Clever. 3 votes Clever, 1 vote Ryan. 17th person voted out of Survivor Second Chances and the 6th member of our jury. Clever.
Clever gasps in response to the blind side and Kiana smiles behind them in guilt. Ryan also grins, telling Clever nice try and good game. Clever hugs Telly, whispering to her that she has their vote in the end. Telly doesn't say anything in response and sits back down. Clever sets their torch down and Justin snuffs it. They wave goodbye to everyone and they all wave back, watching Clever leave the area. Justin then tells the final 5 to head back to camp, so they all make their way back. Clever's final thoughts. Clever was obviously blindsided by the result, assuming everyone was voting out Queen Telly or King Ryan. Hence, they never used their merge idol. It seems Telly and Ryan got the majority of votes yet again, making them even more powerful now. At this rate, one of them will win unless they go back to back. With it being a unanimous vote, it hurts that Kiana flipped on them with no explanation, so it'll be hard to root for her to win despite being good allies for a good chunk of the season. Clever plans to be open-minded with their jury vote, wanting to vote the player who had a flawless game and can claim a lot of moves under their name.